Welcome to another episode of Search News You Can Use with me, Dr. Marie Haynes. I'm going to do a little bit of a different episode today. I'm going to babble on about what I think Google is doing and what SEOs should be paying attention to. I've had a fantastically busy day today studying client sites that were affected or new clients that were affected by the September core update, the product reviews update. I have a new site I'm about to look at soon that was heavily impacted by the helpful content update, which is something that not a lot of people are talking about so far. It's been such an insanely busy time that normally for podcast, I'll spend the entire day putting graphics together, putting all sorts of stuff together to teach on podcast. And today, I think I'm just going to chat. We had Search On today, which Google announced the upcoming innovations that are happening in search. And the last two Search On events, I live tweeted them and realized that, oh my goodness, Google tells us so much information in these events. 2 years ago, they told us about BERT, how BERT was being used in every single English search. BERT is a natural language processing tool that helps Google understand intent. Last year, they told us all about MUM, and we're starting to see some of the effects of MUM in Google's algorithms, but they teased at the ways that we could use Google Lens to start doing image searches. And then this year, they expanded on that even more. I'm not going to list every single thing that Google talked about. They talked a lot about Google Maps, which I'm not a huge fan of Google Maps. There's a whole story that goes with that. If you recall, I was trapped in the woods after going down an ATV trail. That's a whole story. It was almost exactly a year ago now that happened. I'm not going to talk about too much about the Google Maps issues, but what I really want to talk about is shopping, which seems kind of silly because I don't do a lot of e-commerce SEO. I have a few clients that I advise in that area, but in terms of full end-to-end SEO, we have not done a whole lot of e-commerce sites. And I really am interested in what Google's doing with e-commerce. I have a theory that Google is going to overtake Amazon as the place where people go online when they want to buy a product. So think about what happens now. If I need something and I want to buy it online, there's a good chance I'm going to go to Amazon because I've already got my address in there. The shipping's already figured out. I know that for the most part, if I order something today and I have Amazon Prime, it's going to come within 24 hours. Like, it's very consistent, and a lot of people, especially during the pandemic, have been purchasing online products from Amazon. And I've talked about this before, but we've had very bad experiences with Amazon. We ordered a sink strainer, the type of thing that you put in to strain your vegetables in the sink, and it came broken and with food stains on it. This is from Amazon, and so we had to return it. And my husband, David, went to the post office, and there was this massive wall of boxes that were returns to Amazon. There are so many people that are really frustrated with Amazon. So Google's not going to start shipping products out to people, but here's what's happening. They're making it so that people can search much easier for products on Google and then be connected with actual vendors who sell that product, websites who talk about the product. Google's going to show you places where you can buy it. And so I did this the other day when I had some friends over so I'm having a glass of wine tonight because it's late and it's been a hell of a day. And so, recording this podcast, it's like we're having a little drink together, right, after a bit of a conference. I'm going to interrupt myself here to give a word from our sponsors. It's always awkward when I have a sponsor, but it really helps me to keep going with this podcast. So this week and for the next few months, I'm going to be telling you about Morty Oberstein's podcast with Wix. Google updates, keyword research. Getting SEO information is easy. Getting good SEO information is hard. Wherever you are on your SEO journey, Wix's SERP Up podcast helps you separate SEO fact from fiction. Join hosts Crystal Carter and Morty Oberstein each week as they offer a fresh and fun take on SEO with helps from SEO legends like Barry Schwartz, Cindy Crum, and more. Tune into the Wix SEO hub at wix.com/SEO/learn or wherever you consume podcasts. But say, so this bottle of wine, this is called Cave Spring. if you were here and you wanted to purchase this, you can take a picture of this with your Google app on either iOS or on your Android phone, and use Google Lens, and it will show you exactly where to buy it. It'll show you the manufacturer's website, and then in a lot of cases, I can just click a button and order it if I wanted to buy this product. And so that's nothing new. Google's been doing that for a while. But what they announced in Search On this week was some new ways that we can search. One of the things that we're going to be able to do is if you type shop before your search query, then Google's going to show you shopping results. So if I was looking, the example that they gave was a bomber jacket. If I search shop women's bomber jackets, I'm just going to get a bunch of results where I can purchase these bomber jackets. And then I'm going to be able to filter those in very interesting ways. So I could filter it to show just women's jackets. And I can even set it now so that when I search in the future, Google will default to showing me just women's products. That's very interesting. I can set it now to show that I just want, when I search for, the example that they gave was a purse, I can search for just certain brands and say I only want to see purses from this brand whenever I'm doing this search. But the thing that seemed really interesting to me was that you're going to be able to search for trending items. So, and that made me think about how trends get started. Like, think about those of you who were, like me, were teens in the 80s. If you had big hair, that was a trend, right? And who knows how that got started? It was probably some rock bands that had big hair. Our idols, the people that we looked up to, set the trends of, what people found fashionable at the time. And now, I think if enough people do this, it'll be Google. Is it Google that's setting the trends? It might be actual real people, that we can say, well, all around the world, people are buying bell-bottom jeans now. And so the more people do that, the more people are going to see that that's a trending type of product. And I think it's going to influence how society dresses, how trends happen. So Google started this Search On event with something that it actually kind of frightened me a little bit. They said, when you think of Google. I mean, what do you think of? You probably think of the white page with a search bar in the middle. And what Prabhagar Raghavan said was that Google wants to change our minds so that we don't think of them as a search bar, but rather a place where anywhere we are, we can do searches in any way that we want. And they showed this image of a city and, things labeled on where to find them in the city, which, that exists today. But the way that they described it just sounds like we're going to be using Google for a lot more than just sitting at our phones or at our computers. They really want people to integrate it into their whole lives as the way that we get information. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think a lot of people would say that it's a bad thing. I personally maybe have too much trust in Google, that I think that they really are trying to provide people with good, organized, trustworthy information. They don't get it right every time, but I do think that their intentions are good. So Google said a lot in the Search On event about products, and that's no surprise because think of all the product review updates we've had. Google is training SEOs to create fantastic content when it comes to products. They're training SEOs. We saw recently that you can implement pros and cons schema, and even for sites that don't implement pros and cons schema, Google's learning how to use semantic algorithms to actually extract information from pages, even when there's no schema there, and say, well, here's the pros that this person has written about. Here are the cons, the negative things that this person has written about. And now when you're doing a search for, the example that they gave was bikes, they might show a buying guide for these bikes. They might show review stars. You're going to be able to tap on any product that you see on a Google search. I believe it's anywhere on Chrome. You can tap on this product, and what you're going to see is helpful reviews. You're going to see the star ratings for this product. You're going to see comparable products. There's going to be a lot. I think Google's really, really working on making comparison search something that is very, very helpful. And so I do think that a lot of people are going to be using this. When I heard all of this, it made me think that it's going to make an SEO's life quite difficult. Those of us who are used to traditional Google Analytics, we're limited in what we can do when we look at search results. We can see, oh, this page got more traffic, or perhaps we have Search Console that shows, yeah, we're ranking for this particular keyword. But if a keyword starts seeing increased traffic or decreased traffic because of one of these new features that Google's got, it's going to be very difficult to measure where those come from. Now, I did hear some people tell me on Twitter that GA4 has some things baked into it that will make analyzing shopping results even easier. So that's very interesting. For those of you who are in e-commerce, I feel like this is a time where there's so much opportunity to have advancements, to get ahead of the competitors right now. One of the things that Google's doing is they're going to make a very easy way for manufacturers to show 3D pictures. They showed an example of a pair of shoes, and apparently you can send Google, or I don't know if it's a tool that you use, just a number of pictures of these shoes, and they'll make it into a 3D model so that it'll help people to make their purchase decisions. And more, it's becoming that good imagery, good videos are things that are going to be necessary for if you want to rank for manufacturer sites for product sales. And Google announced all sorts of changes for food searches, basically. If you are searching for, let's say you do a search and you see, this food that you really, really like, that you really want to try, you can use Google Lens and tap on it, and it will show you where to buy that type of food near you. Google's got all sorts of they announced this as well. It's powered by machine learning, new ways to look at restaurant menus. Right now there's a whole collection of, whether the restaurant actually uploaded their menu, maybe it's available online, maybe users uploaded pictures, but who knows if those are outdated or not. And so apparently now Google's using a whole machine learning model to actually show you the menus of restaurants, and we'll be able to search those as well. So I can search for restaurants that have spicy food or vegetarian food or something like that. So I told you I wasn't going to get into Google Maps, and I did. I think there's a lot of advancements that are being made. Unfortunately, they didn't announce any advancements in not sending people down ATV trails with DeepMind, that the AI that helps people find new paths. I was kind of hoping for that, but it is what it is. I think that's all I'm going to say. This is going to be a really, really short episode this week. I just wanted to share a little bit about what we heard in the Search On event. I think that search is changing dramatically. If we go back to the days where links were king, and links still matter for a number of if you're in a competitive vertical, links are still very important, but there's so much more. I think that SEOs are going to have to understand all of the different SERP features. As an SEO, you should be able to explain to your client what things to know is, what the people also ask results are, what featured snippets are, and why they may not be able to get a featured snippet anymore, what the shopping results are, and there are paid shopping results. There are I've talked in past episodes about how Merchant Center, which I thought was just for PPC, I thought was just paid search, has all sorts of organic options now that you really, really need to be getting into if you're an e-commerce site. I'll just briefly touch on informational sites. I'm concerned for informational sites. One of the things Google talked about is how, and it sounds a little bit just like Google suggests, that as we type, they're going to suggest things that might be related to what we're typing in. But then Google's going to show us right in the search results the things that they think we're searching for before we've even typed them. And I wonder a lot of the time whether, as Google's gathering information, it's going to be less and less necessary for me to actually go to a website to learn the information. I can just stay on a Google search and look at all these search results that have all of the information that's connected to a particular topic, as well as in different languages. That's something else that they talked about, was that you will be able to auto-translate things even with images. They showed an example where right now, if you do a search for something and you auto-translate it, Google can overlay the, say I did it was a Spanish page, Google might overlay the English on the Spanish text. And now they have new technology that allows them to seamlessly put the words in English on a page over top of the same design and everything. They're really doing a lot. And I think that's going to change our search results as well. They mentioned for news sites that if you're used to seeing news from certain sources, let's say I do a search about a natural disaster that happened in Mexico. In the past, I would get English results. I would maybe see CNN or even BBC showing, telling me what's happened there. And if I wanted to get information from Mexico themselves, from the source where that's actually happening, if I don't know Spanish, that would not actually be shown to me. And now it sounds like Google is changing that. And that's going to change our search results. I almost wonder, I wrote a newsletter this week about how a lot of news sites were negatively impacted by the September core update. I haven't investigated it, but who knows? Perhaps Google is now surfacing sites from other languages, pages from other languages that they can very easily translate. It's a little bit ironic because I also put in newsletter this week how much Google does not want to have machine translated content on in the index. So they have to be very, very confident in their ability to translate these languages. It'll be very interesting to see what comes up there. I think that's all I'm going to say for now. Again, a very different episode. I hope you don't mind that I didn't put as much effort into this one as I have in other weeks because I've been extremely busy. I really hope that you're keeping on top of all of the changes that have happened. If you were impacted by the September core update, the product reviews update, or the helpful content update, I'm thinking about putting some groups together where we can discuss as a group what has changed in websites, what's changed in the search results, what Google seems to be ranking now. So if you're interested in that, you can reach out to me at help@mariehaynes.com, and I'm going to be setting some of those up. I hope that's been interesting, and I wish you the best of luck with your rankings.